everyone, welcome back to my channel, Diamonds and Washi. My name is Katie, and today I am here with an update on my cross-stitch conversion project of Once Upon a Fairy Tale by Amy Stewart. This is a particularly exciting update for me, and hopefully for you guys too, because you guys, I'm officially at the halfway mark on this huge epic scale project that is just turning out to be a very, very long-term project, much longer than I anticipated, but has been fascinating and exhausting in equal parts to see coming together. Now, if this is, the first video that you're seeing me do this on and you're not totally sure what I'm talking about, I have a playlist dedicated to this whole project that I've tracked from the moment that I unboxed it and done various check-ins throughout the course of working on it over the past year and a half. I went back and took a look just to confirm, and yes, I started this project on July 27th of 2022, and today's date when I'm filming this is February 21st of 2024, so a year and a half, literally. And it's a project that I've worked on alongside other diamond painting projects, and so I come back to it here and there. Sometimes I work on it, for a more dedicated amount of time, and sometimes it's just little bits here and there. Now, what is a cross-stitch conversion project? What that is where I am taking a cross-stitch chart. In this case, it is from the shop Heaven and Earth Designs, and the chart itself is, like I said, by Amy Stewart. The title is Once Upon a Fairy Tale. And I'm turning that into a diamond painting by reading the chart, counting the spots and putting the colors down on a blank canvas. So the printing of the symbols is not on the canvas. I'm actually reading the chart. I'm using the app Pattern Keeper on my Amazon Fire tablet, which I found to be invaluable and have really appreciated the tips and tricks that you guys have shared with me along the way, because I am not a cross stitcher and many of you are more seasoned with working with apps like that, and I really appreciate your thoughts, and you're always welcome to continue sharing those with me. I do really, really appreciate it, and it helps me and hopefully lets me help other newbies too. But this project is so large in scope. It measures out to, in total, the entire project is going to be 188 by 139 centimeters. And I wanted to make it more manageable, so I broke it down into, not 4 panels, 8 panels in total. Each of the panels is 94 by 34-ish centimeters. Think like if you've seen the Diamond Art Club Mandy Manzano princess panels, they're around that size, a little bit smaller. They're big. They're very, very big. And the chart itself is very confetti heavy. There's tons and tons of color changes. It's a very labor intensive and mental workout type of project. And it's exciting to be at the halfway point. Actually, I'm technically a little bit over the halfway point because of how I logistically had to divide the chart based on the canvases that I got. So technically I'm actually at 50.37% completion, which is 202,500 diamonds of a total of 402,000 diamonds have been placed. So over 200,000 diamonds have been placed so far. This is panel number 4. It's the most recently completed panel that I have done. I started it at the end of December this past year, so December 29th, 2023, and I completed it on February 5th, and did spend quite a lot of time on this project, though I did have some other projects going at the same time. And so I know I just gave you a huge info dump, but I want to shift into talking a little bit about kind of where I'm at and how I'm feeling and what my thoughts are specifically about this panel as well as the project as a whole. I feel like there's a lot that I want to talk about, especially as we're at the halfway point. So I'm going to start out. I want to talk about what my thoughts are about specifically this panel. Now, for context, let me pull up the image here on Pattern Keeper for you. And so this is the original artwork by Amy Stewart. And so the way that I divided this, so like I said, 8 panels, I divided it down the center, and then we have 4 shelves here. So then I just divided it this way. That's why I divided it into 8 panels. So I've done the top shelf, panel 1, panel 2. Panel 3 was the left half of the second shelf down, and this panel that you're looking at here is the right half of shelf number 4. So that's for context. We kind of picked up just to the left of, I think that's a Pegasus back there. And then we have some knights fighting. And then we get over here into, there's like, I don't know if this is a mage. There's some crystals and hanging lanterns. There's a stack of books, and we have a peacock and a guy hanging out with a sword and a flight of stairs. So with that context, you can kind of see, okay, here's kind of those different elements that are going on. You can kind of see there's like the Pegasus over there, highly pixelated. And then we have the knights, which you can make out decently well in the castle in the background. We have these books that you can see. We have this, which I have feelings about. But here's, I think, like our mage or sorceress or what have you. You can kind of see the hanging lanterns up there. And then as we come over here, we have this stack of books, which, spoiler, was my favorite part of this panel. And then the staircase, the peacock, and then the guy just chilling, just hanging out. So this was panel number 4. Can I be fully honest and transparent with you guys? This was my least favorite panel so far of the 4 panels that I've completed. And I feel guilty saying that, and a little bit like just sort of like I hate saying it because it feels like this was a ton of work, and to come to the end of it and go, I'm disappointed with how it turned out, or I don't love it. Like, that's not an awesome feeling. I don't care for that kind of feeling, but I'm just honestly, yeah, no, I was bummed. This part in the middle was probably the biggest reason for that. I feel like this just, in my opinion, did not translate. I feel like maybe in cross stitch form, where you're working, like, you know, your stitches are going to be, I think, generally quite a bit smaller than the space that these diamonds take up. I feel like the way that your eye pulls details together when it's those little stitches versus the size of a diamond and the size of this canvas, I feel like it works differently in how it's translating from the original artwork. I think that this is a part that in particular does not work well as a diamond painting. I don't know if there is a max color version of this chart. I think there is. I got the standard version. It has 91 colors on the chart, but it translates to 88 colors in diamond painting form because a couple of the colors that it calls for on the chart don't exist as diamond colors. And so there's charts out there where you can find the closest equivalent DMC color that's available as diamond. So technically it's 88 diamond colors. But I feel like this is probably the area that just the most doesn't translate as well in this chart, unfortunately. So yeah, I was saying if there is a max color version of it, of this particular chart, maybe that would work better if there were more colors to work with. I'm not entirely sure. I don't know. I didn't think that taking this on as a max color project was the right call. I thought that was going to make this project just unmanageable in terms of scope. But yeah, unfortunately, I didn't really care for how that part turned out. I feel like this panel was when it became really clear to me that this artwork is just going to look really pixelated in general, turned into a diamond painting. And there are parts of it that I think are turning out better than others. And I feel like I'm continuing to keep in mind that that what I have to think of with this project is that I have to be standing back far enough that I'm able to see this entire project at once. I'm gonna have to literally be standing like 20 feet away from this project to be able to see all of these panels completed. And when I'm at that distance, just by nature, my eyes are gonna pull a lot of these details together. That's what it means when we talk about a viewing distance, looking at projects from a viewing distance, and how when you're really up close and in the weeds, a lot of times it's just not going to make sense, and you have to think of it as we're looking at this from a viewing distance. And that has never been more true for me than with this particular project. This has just been such a huge learning experience, if you couldn't tell. But I have to say, let me talk about some things that I did enjoy about this kit. I loved that it happened to work out that after this just muddle, that then I got to this stack of books, and that I feel like was just a breath of fresh air. I was like, oh, this is lovely. I can see how this is turning out. And this is making me happy and kind of the end of the canvas here, because I did work on it left to right. This was, I felt like, a better way to end than this spot in the middle. So I really like the books. I even thought the peacock turned out really well. Like the colors in its tail I thought were really, really pretty. I think it works pretty well. I thought that the knights over here actually turned out pretty well, even though, yes, they are pixelated. I still thought they looked good. And the castle in the background too, I thought was nice. And I did get just the smallest bit of color blocking in the moon. I was able to use, I placed like 7 or 8 diamonds in a row of the same color. It was great, you guys. It was absolutely great. So those are things that I did enjoy about this particular panel. And I also, this is the first panel that I worked on after completing another cross-stitch conversion project. I completed a Loki cross-stitch conversion panel. That is going to be a part of the playlist, the cross-stitch conversion playlist that you'll see if you want to take a look at that. But that was such a different kind of project and more self-contained and went really fast. And I tried some different techniques and approaches with that project that I took as learnings into this project. In particular, let's see, if you've watched some of my past progress updates or whip and chats where I've worked on the first 3 panels, which they're kind of off to the side and below here, you would see that the way I approached it is I worked on it like 1 column at a time, 1 10-stitch wide column at a time. And I would really open up like 3 or 4 squares of the 10 by 10 squares at a time. So I was really working in small sections, gradually opening up more as I went down. And with the Loki project, I was working in bigger sections. I worked on 2 rows or columns at a time, and I would go all the way across with the color. And so let me just point on the canvas and see if this makes more sense this way. But what I decided to try with this project was, instead of working at just these little 10 by 10 this little 10 wide column and just a few squares at a time, instead I ended up working on it in 2 10 wide columns. And what I would do is I would start at the top, I would pick a color, and I would then go all the way down the chart, the whole way down, and using, the grid and everything as reference, I would place all of the color that was to be found in those 2 columns all the way down. I really liked this approach. I feel like it was more efficient and it saved me some time, and I think that it helps. I think that it really did help. I like that approach, and I'm planning to take that into the next panel that I work on. And so I encourage you guys to try different approaches if you're tackling a project like this or a conversion project in general. Try out different things to see what works for you. I'm sure that, there are some people that will, I know this is the case with standard cross stitch projects, they'll do like what they call cross country stitching, where they'll just like do the whole color across like huge chunks of fabric, or the chart, like they'll do a whole page at a time or something. And I don't think I'm going to go quite that far, but there are a lot of different approaches that you can take to something like this. So those are my overall feelings about this particular panel. Now let me talk a little bit about the project as a whole. First, what I want to do is, especially if you've been waiting to see this whole project in frame, I'm so sorry that we're, 14 minutes in and I'm just now going to do so, but I can't fit it on camera for you like this. However, I did take a picture. I'm going to put it up on the screen for you right here if you want to see all 4 of these panels together in frame. Now, these are all taking up my entire kitchen table, which is a nice full-size kitchen table. I have honestly no idea really how I'm going to continue to photograph this project and attempt to get more panels in frame, because as it is, I was standing so high above it that my head was about hitting the ceiling, and I don't know that I have a floor space big enough to fit more than 4 of these panels all together. So I may just be doing a little bit of like Photoshop, like taking this picture and, adding this picture on top of it. But that's just to look at how this whole project is looking all together so far. And already that is more of a viewing distance than what we're seeing right now. That already does give you a better sense of how this is supposed to look. And so I do keep that in mind for certain. It feels really, really, really good to be halfway through this project. That feels like that was just a huge milestone that I was reaching for. And there's something about being on the other side of the halfway mark that makes the ending feel more achievable to me. But it took me a year and a half to get to that point. And that is there's some fatigue that happens because of that, even though I was taking large chunks of time off from working on this project. But when I went into this, honestly, you guys, I was not expecting this to be a project that spanned multiple years. And now I've come to terms with it. Like, it's fine. I just know we're looking at a multi-year project here, and that is okay. I don't want to try to make it happen as fast as possible. It's just not practical. I do have all the panels out here if you want to take a look and just get a little refresher at what the other ones are. This was panel number, oops, sorry to hit that so hard. This is panel number 3. This is the left side of shelf 2, and this end is what goes right up next to, oh, we're out of frame. Hold on. It goes right up next to this one. And you can kind of see-ish, that's about how it goes. So that was panel number 3. And then, let's see, panel number 2 is what's up here, and it runs directly above this. And I have a hard time folding it over to show you exactly how that lines up. But you can see like the shades of brown and green that go, you know, from canvas to canvas, even this like little bit of this dress that drips down onto here too. So that's how you can see that will line up. But here's an actual look at canvas, panel number 2. I liked this panel. This one was fun. I liked the books in it. I really liked this scene over here. And then panel number 1, the first one that I started, July 2022, was this one. This was a fun start too. Like this over here, you know, I like the owl. I like these details with the books. It was a nice start to this one, you guys. I liked this panel a lot. So a promising start. And so that's those 4 panels. If you wanted to have another look at those, they're all here. They are big. This project is big. Some other things, just my thoughts, as I'm kind of checking in, letting you guys know just how I'm feeling about this project halfway in. If you watched my most recent Whip and Chat, or one of my recent Whip and Chats rather, I talked at length about how I am having just the most strangely polarized emotions when it comes to this project. And I really felt it with this panel. I find myself at the same time, in the same breath, feeling like this is such a fun and interesting and enjoyable and like challenging in the best way kind of project to work on. And I can't wait to get back to it. Feeling that. And at the same time, feeling like this is sucking the life out of me. This is just soul draining. And how am I going to keep going? I never want to do something like this again. And I am still trying to unpack where those really strong clashing feelings are coming from and why I'm feeling that way. And the tension between those feelings, as I'm working on it and as I complete it, is kind of resulting in an emotional crash after I finish these projects, each of these panels. Like when I finished this 4th panel, I didn't want to do like any kind of traditional diamond painting for like 4 days after I finished it. I was like, am I burnt out on diamond painting forever? I know I'm a little bit of a, you know, I catastrophize, but I worked on like little diamond painting stickers and stuff because I didn't have it. I didn't like, even to work on just another regular diamond painting, not another conversion panel. I just was like, I don't want it. I don't want it. It was a little bit of an emotional letdown. And, I do remember having that with a couple of the other panels, and I don't like that. And I want to figure out a way to avoid that. And it's hard to do when I feel like I am wanting to work on these projects and there's so much I am enjoying about working on these projects, these panels. But I'm feeling at the same time that dislike or that like tension, I guess. So I am trying to figure out where that's coming from and how I can go into these next panels and avoid having that kind of crash after I finish it, or, you know, those mixed emotions while working on it. So I don't know. Have you guys ever had those kinds of feelings when you're working on a project? I only have it when it comes to, I feel like, exceptionally challenging or really large scale projects. So it's not all diamond paintings. It's just the ones that, I don't know, are bigger in scale, I guess. But I feel like overall I am like I said earlier, kind of coming to terms with how this artwork is translating into diamond painting form, and, you know, not having this high expectation that's going to have a clean, crisp, and highly detailed rendering. I didn't really think that going into it, but I think I didn't think it was going to be quite this pixelated, I guess. But as I'm seeing it, you know, I have 4 panels done. I've stepped back and looked at the whole thing. It's like, okay, it is coming together and making sense. It's just up close and just looking at one panel, it's not going to, and I'm okay with that now. I am also definitely have on the brain how I want to test out some ways that I'm going to try to attach these to each other. I have talked about this before, and honestly, as my most frequently asked question easily is, how are you planning to attach these panels together? And just to let you guys know, if you haven't watched past videos or heard me talk about it, but I actually have no intention of displaying this in my home. I know it probably sounds a little bit crazy to work on something that is this time intensive and labor intensive and to go, no, I'm not displaying it in my home. It seems like, wow, wouldn't you want to put up something that is this labor of love and you've put so much work and time into? And I mean, honestly, that's not the reason I'm doing it. I'm doing it just because I love a challenging project and because I thought it would be fun and interesting to share my learnings with you guys. But part of that sharing my learnings is that I want to go ahead and test out what are some different ways that I can attach these panels to one another in case you decide to work on a project like this and you do want to display it in your home. I want to have some ideas for you, even if I'm not planning to do so myself. Honestly, even if I did want to display this in my home, I don't have a wall space anywhere big enough to be able to do so. And it really is okay. It is okay. But I do have that on the brain. I promise. Like I said, it's my most frequently asked questions when it comes to this particular project when I do these check-in videos. So no, I have not forgotten, but I have not actually started testing out those options just yet. But I'm working on it. I'm working on it. I also want to keep brainstorming if there are like other different approaches I want to take to subsequent panels. Like, do I want to maybe work on not just 2 columns side by side? Do I want to work on like 3 or 4 or something like that? I wonder if that would kind of help things feel like they're moving or more interesting without being hopefully too overwhelming. I'm not sure. I'm kicking around different ways that, again, I can just try different approaches, see if they work better for my brain and if they, you know, feel more efficient, I guess, and enjoyable. And so as far as what's next and my goals here, I do already kind of feel the itch to start panel number 5. I love starting a new project. And so I definitely have that draw to go ahead and start the next panel. I think especially as kind of, I'm hoping that it's going to be more, that I'm going to like it more than panel 4. Panel 5 has a dragon in it, so I'm cautiously optimistic and hopeful. We have a little taste of that dragon. Like half of the dragon is in this panel. This is the second shelf left half, and the next shelf, next panel I'm going to work on is the third shelf, so the one immediately below this one. So we're going to finish off the dragon, and I like how the dragon's turning out so far. So I'm looking forward to panel number 5 in that sense. But I also, like I said, I just really want to keep unpacking and finding healthy ways to kind of work through my strong polarized feelings towards this project, because it's not the energy that I want to bring into it for myself or for you guys, because you guys don't like hearing about how this project is having me feeling like I'm risking, you know, burnout, and I'm just feeling like emotionally low about it after I finish it. Like, no, that's not the vibe I want for you guys or for myself. So thinking through ways that like I can avoid that. And I would also love to hear from you guys, especially now that we're halfway in, and I've shared a lot of my thoughts about this. Are there different kinds of things that you want to know or me to cover and talk about in more detail with regards to a project like this, or cross-stitch conversion panels or cross-stitch conversion projects in general? I would be more than happy to go into more depth about that. I know that this project has been spanning a year and a half, and so things that I've covered in some of those early videos you might not have caught, or maybe you want me to do more dedicated videos on specific things related to this project. I would very much welcome your suggestions. And that also extends to if If you have suggestions for things that you think that you want me to try with how I approach the next panel, or working through those big feelings, as I tell my kids, those feelings, those emotions surrounding working on these projects, or just other general tips and tricks about tackling these conversions, I would welcome those as well. So let me know down in the comments. I know this has just been a whole long video of me just talking your ear off and just brain dumping what my thoughts are about this project. But I genuinely hope that it was helpful and that you enjoyed kind of getting an update in a lot of depth, maybe more depth than you were looking for, but at the very least you kind of got to take a look with me at these panels so far, and we're halfway there. Technically we're over halfway there. So last final thoughts. I think that really is about it. Share all of your thoughts, tips, tricks, suggestions, what you want to see from this project, and playlist topics you'd like me to cover in the comments below. I'm going to read them and very much appreciate that you take the time to leave a comment, and I'm looking forward to reading them. So anyway, you guys, I'm gonna let you go. I'll point you to the playlist for other videos surrounding this project if you want to see what my thoughts have been from day one, and let me know if you've taken on a project like this, whether it's a smaller cross stitch conversion or something larger in scale like this one. Thank you so much for going on this journey with me. We're halfway there. I'm hoping maybe we can work on and finish panel 5 before the end of this year, but I'm just gonna take it one day at a time. You guys, thanks for watching. Subscribe if you want to make sure you're not missing any diamond painting content from me. I would love to have you here. Have a day and a week that's as amazing as you are. I'll talk to you again soon. Bye.